It's episode 7 out of 20 of the Be in the Room expert series, how to stop shrinking and how to start leading with purpose. I am your host for this series, Lauren Morrison, professional certified executive business and leadership coach. And I'm here to give you the tools that you need to excel at an executive level in 2026. I'm talking about the tools that I'm providing to my clients, to senior leaders, to people in large organizations who are looking to get themselves ready for that next level. These are the tools that I'm providing them, and I want to make sure that they are available to you, because not everybody is able to invest in their own leadership, and not everyone is being invested in when it comes to leadership. However, leadership is probably one of the strongest tools that you can have in your toolkit, or a set of tools that you can have in your toolkit, because it is the thing that's going to take you from here to here. Because at some point you get to a moment in your career, in your pursuits, in your goals, where your knowledge, your expertise, your abilities from a technical perspective are only going to get you so far. Eventually, if you want to be able to scale your impact, scale your income, scale your growth, scale scale various versions of your life, you're going to need to tap into new sets of skills. And that is the skills to be able to identify your emotional landscape, the skills to access confidence and during uncertainty, the skills to be agile when the world is going crazy around you, and also the skills, especially the skills to be able to lead through others. And what often stops us from being able to lead through others, is oftentimes that we aren't really sure for ourselves where we want to go. So we don't necessarily have a vision. Now, if you've ever worked for an organization that didn't have a vision, you know how frustrating it is when you're doing work on a day-to-day basis and you don't understand what it is for. Because our behaviors are not driven from what's in front of us. They're driven from an emotional place. They're driven from a place where we have better understanding of context, why it is that we're doing what we're doing. Because once we understand what the vision is and why it matters to us, that is what is helping us to give us resilience. That is what is helping us to be agile, to problem solve, and to make big decisions in order to pursue our goals. So that is really what we're going to be talking about today. Over the last week, we have been talking a lot about emotional management. We've been talking about how to navigate difficult conversations, how to get clear for yourself on what it is that you want, and how to ask for it. We've also talked about the hidden beliefs that cause us to not ask for what we want, the hidden beliefs that cause us to shrink our own desires, and address those so that we could get to a place where we're building a strategy from a place of where we're building a strategy from a place where we're aligned with our values. We're building a strategy from a place that is in alignment with our strengths and alignment with the things that we want to bring more of into this world. Okay. So this is what we're going to be focused on today. We're going to pivot from that internal work today, and now we're going to make it external. We understand what's going on in here, so how do we bring it out into the world? What is the actual plan? And this is where a lot of people get stuck, is because sometimes people have big plans or big goals or big visions for themselves, but it just seems too big, too unattainable. And oftentimes when we're at the base of a mountain and it looks too tall, the idea of taking a first step can just seem too overwhelming. Why? Because people don't want to make the wrong first step. People are afraid of what they might learn about themselves or about this goal as they start walking the path. What if I start it and I don't like it? What if I start it and it still doesn't make me happy? What if I start it and I'm not good at it? What if I start it and the thing that I did first is actually the wrong thing to do? These are the kinds of decisions that keep us paralyzed, that keep us stuck. But I'm going to give you some of the tools to help mitigate that decision making. And the tool that we're going to be covering today is my patented, I don't know if it's patented, I didn't patent it, but my infamous sticky note method. Okay, so just to give you a preview of what we'll be talking about today. This is my $3 planning methodology that has helped me through some major transitions in my life. I'm going to give you a bit of the background story of the sticky note method. So some of you may know this, but prior to me doing what I'm doing today, I was a director in a big telco, and I was in charge of project management delivery, but I was also in charge of pulling together the larger strategy, right? So putting together the larger strategy meant taking a lot of big inputs, a lot of big goals, and figuring out ways to break it down into smaller components so that people had a clearer understanding of what the vision was, but they also understood what the assignment was. They understood what they needed to prioritize on a day-to-day, on a month-to-month basis, a quarter-to-quarter basis, a week-to-week basis, a day-to-day basis. This is what we did in order to basically ensure that everyone had their marching orders. Now, when I was doing this for big corporations, and then I started to explore a career shift for myself, eventually I got to this point where I was like, I don't know if this is the path for me anymore, and I wanted to explore another path. The idea of potentially moving from Toronto to Canada, I mean, Toronto to Canada, Toronto to LA had come up, and that meant a major life switch. And I also knew that if I was to pursue a relocation with myself and my family, then that would mean that I'm embarking on a completely new career journey to begin with as well. And that in and of itself seems so overwhelming, considering how much was at stake where I was and how much I still needed to accomplish or how much was unknown. So essentially I was reading the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and some of you may have read this book, but one of his methods for changing his own behavior or getting out of some of the patterns that he had was he actually wrote things down on sticky notes and put them on his mirror, on his bathroom mirror. And these were things about weight loss. They were mindset. They were goals. They were habits that he wanted to instill in himself every day, whether it's run a mile or whether it was something he needed to believe about himself. He put these reminders on sticky notes on his mirror, in his bathroom mirror, so that because it is the first thing he sees in the morning, when he looks at himself, he sees what the plan is, he sees what the mission is for the day. And it's the last thing that he sees at night, which means that at the end of the day, he's allowed to check in. It's giving him a prompt to check in with himself to say, how did I progress against my goals? How did I progress against my mindset? So again, first thing you see in the if the first thing you see in the morning is a reminder of your plan, and the last thing you see before you go to bed at night is a reminder of that plan, chances are you are going to be so much more focused and diligent and hold yourself accountable to a higher degree because it's facing you in the mirror every single day. Now, this is where a lot of people get lost in their planning, is because they write it down in planners, they put it in a book, and then that book goes somewhere where it's not visible to them. And so therefore, other people's priorities just tend to pull you away from the things that you're focused on because it's not visible to you, because you're not seeing it for yourself on a day-to-day basis. So what I ended up thinking to myself was, what if I was to merge what I did from a corporate strategy and planning perspective, and I was merging it with what I learned from David Goggins. And this is where the sticky note method came to be, because essentially it was a way to take my own personal goals, my own personal plans, and translate it into a system of accountability that would actually have me moving the needle, not just on a month-to-month basis, but on a day-to-day basis. And it is a big reason why I was able to make the big shift that I was able to not only leave my job, start a new business, but actually build that business from the ground up to something that's sustainable, to a multi-six-figure business, because my vision was clear, my objectives were laid out for me, and I was holding myself accountable to actions and behaviors and mindsets on a day in and day out basis to ensure that I was consistently moving the needle despite how I felt that day, despite feeling discouraged, despite feeling like things weren't working, despite feeling hopeless. All of these things that take us off of our goal, this method is what kept me accountable, and it has worked for so many of my clients as well. So this is what we're going to be going over today. Now, I've talked for 10 minutes and I've said hello to nobody. So let me do that now. All right. So we have K Savvy. Welcome, welcome. We have Akila Vila. We have Sean. Hey, Sean. Thanks for joining. DJ Honey Vibes. Hello. Me the Nomad. All right. Curtis is here. What's up, Curtis? And we've got Uncool Phil. There's some names in here that I may not be saying your correct name. If you want me to say your correct name, please feel free to put it in the chat along with where you're calling in from, so that I don't. Hey, Dwayne's here. Awesome. So that I don't miss it. And of course, Trishan is here, always here. And yeah, Trishan, you did catch me. I am working a blazer. I'm wearing a blazer over my workout clothes. Today was, with the morning that I had, I was only able to get half of my workout in. So as soon as this live is over, I'm going to go finish the other half, which means that today's outfit is brought to you by this wear. Okay. Sometimes we just got to do what we got to do. All right. So we're going to get started with this. Oh, I almost forgot actually. Let me not forget this. Now, I'm going to be covering a lot today, and I don't want any of you, and maybe some of you are going to be taking notes, but I want to assure you that I've documented this full methodology in a beautiful guide, and that guide is available to you if you comment the word sticky at any time during this live. Once you comment the word sticky at any time during this live, you'll receive a DM. It will ask for your email address. It'll make sure that you have the right email address, and then you will get the link to download this full guide that is going to walk you through step by step everything that I'm talking about today, so that you have this as a resource for your own planning when you take this away after the live. Okay? So again, comment the word sticky and you will receive the full guide to your email ASAP. All right. Are we ready to get started? How's everybody feeling? How sticky? No, sticky with one Y. Make sure you get it. How's everybody feeling today? Put a heart up in the chat, put a emoji. Let me know you're out there. Because like I said yesterday, doing these lives sometimes they can be a bit hard because you're not reading the energy in the room. So anything you can do to engage with one another, engage with me, ask questions as we move forward. That's going to be really helpful just to make sure that, we take advantage of the liveness that's happening right now. Okay, awesome. All right, glad that you all are getting the sticky notes. All right, let's talk about this. All right, so the sticky note method goes in layers, okay? Now, I'm going to start off with the top layer. Now, I've changed the colors because I don't necessarily have all the colors that I have in the guide, so it'll break it down. The colors don't really matter. What does matter is that we differentiate the various layers. So we're going to start with the top layer. The top layer is considered your big hairy ass goal. If any of you have ever read the book Measure What Matters by John Doerr, who's a huge consultant for Google, you will know what a big hairy ass goal is. A big hairy ass goal is something that you write down and you almost feel is unachievable. Now, this layer is really, really important because, again, it sets your compass for the direction that you want to go. One of the things that I was actually looking at something that my friend Kevin posted on his stories the other day, and this was Trevor Noah asking Oprah Winfrey. From her perspective, he said, what is it that the people who get what they want, what do you notice they have in common? Or what do you notice is a trait that they all have in common? And Oprah said that she notices that the people who get what they want know what they want. And the thing is that most people do not know what they want. They don't know what they want, so they live in chaos. They don't know, they've never articulated what they want, so they allow themselves to be pulled in many different directions or to other people's wants, needs, and desires. When you know what you want, when you have a clear vision of what it is you want, despite whether or not you feel that it is attainable to you, that is when your decisions start to align because your brain knows now to prioritize a certain trajectory, and it starts to filter out the noise because your brain can only processing 11 million bits of information at any given point in time. So if you are not giving your brain a compass or a priority in terms of what it is to focus on, then it's not going to know what to choose, and it's going to allow a lot of noise to come into your filtering system. By stating what it is that you want or what you are going after, you are giving the signal to your brain to say, there's going to be 11 million bits of information, but I only want you to focus or filter. It's kind of like an algorithm for your brain. Filter the information that is going to lead me into the direction of the trajectory that I want to go. So think of your brain like an algorithm. You need to tell it what to pay attention to so that it can start filtering out some of that noise. Now, a lot of people, when they think about setting a goal, they think about setting SMART goals. So they think about things that are attainable. I'm going to ask you for this layer, put that away, okay? This isn't about what's attainable. Your big, hairy ass goal, or what they call a bag, it almost needs to make you feel a little nauseous to say out loud, a little nervous to say out loud. If you can say it with such high level of clarity, either one, you're very practiced at saying this over and over again, and that's good for you, or two, it's just not big enough. So you want to be able to create something that is big and think about it in the lens of like 10 years out, not just what I want to do this year, but 10 years out, what am I aiming for? What is it that I want to be known for? What is it that I want to give more of into this world? What is that North Star that I'm moving towards? And again, it should feel a little icky to say, almost like you don't want to say it out loud because you're afraid that you won't meet it. That's how you know that we are hitting a big, hairy ass goal. Okay. Now, this layer is important again because it sets the trajectory. Goals are not necessarily about I either achieved it or I didn't, but it is because goals can change, goals can migrate. Whatever your big hairy ass goal is today, as you move more into your, if as you move more down that path, as you learn more, you may need to, your information is going to change. And essentially, this might start to change a little bit for you. It might start to morph a little bit for you. So don't look at this as something that is absolutely fixed. Look at it as something that illuminates the path that you're going to start walking down. Okay? All right. So, big hairy ass goal. So let's just say, for example, um, my big hairy ass goal is to be a thought leader in the space of leadership and coaching for people of color. I want to be a New York Times best-selling author. I want to sell out stadiums for my for speaking gigs. I want to have a world tour. Okay? That feels gross to say. I'll just be honest. It feels hard to say because right now I'm saying all that and I'm just like, I don't even know how I would get there. And I like all the thoughts are coming up, right? Like why would anyone come to see me at a world tour? How would I ever sell out stadiums or tickets? I can barely get X amount of people in a live or or watching my content, et cetera, et cetera. If you are thinking those things when you talk about your goal, I need you to know that that is not an indication that you have picked the wrong goal. That is more the indication that you have picked the right goal. The only reason you are scared of it is because it matters to you. Okay? So, all of those thoughts for me, if they're coming up, they just let me know that, all right, this feels weird. This feels big. This feels humongous. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but the thought of it excites me. So, that's the goal. That's the big, hairy ass goal. All right. So, here's where it starts to get a little bit more tactical. Because you're going to take your yellow sticky notes or your red or whatever, and you're going to write down all those components, everything that I just even said. New York Times bestselling author, sold out stadium, thought leader, things from your own personal life, best shape of my life. Maybe I've won a fitness competition. Not to say that that's a goal, but you want to put all those things there. So again, you know what you're aiming towards. Now, the next layer down, your blue sticky notes. Your blue sticky notes are where we start to get more tactical. Now they start to get a little bit more out there in the sky and a bit more about this question. What would need to be true a year from now in order for me to say that I am making progress towards this goal? What would need to be true a year from now in order for me to say that I am making progress towards my big hairy ass goal? You can do this at a year. Some people, I've done this where you go big and then you go 3 to 5 years and then you go a year, completely up to you. But for the purpose of this live, we're going to go a year. So, for example, I need to, in order for me to say that I'm making progress towards this goal, I need to have my very first book published. I need to launch my podcast. I need to, I need to have X amount of followers on my Instagram. I need to have booked 6 keynote speaking events, for example. And if I do all of those things, then I can say, okay, I'm not there, but I'm on the trajectory toward, right? So this is where you take now those individual things and you break them down. What needs to be true a year from now for me to be saying I'm making progress on that goal? From there, you're going to start to organize those things now. So you're going to start to organize them. So I have all of those things. When in the year would I publish my book, right? So now we can start to go in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So where in the year would I need to have published my book? When in the year would I need to have booked speaking gigs? When in the year would I have launched my podcast? So now you can start to see that we're taking this 1 year thing and we're moving our goals from being vertical or stacked, and we're moving them horizontal, and we're pacing ourselves out. Okay? So, hey Sterling, good to see you in here, and thank you so much. So we're starting to now pace ourselves out, and we're creating milestones for ourselves. Now, again, these things that you say need to be true. You need to be at the end of the year to either be able to say you did it or you didn't do it, which means they have to be specific. You can't say, I'm just going to say this. You can't say, in order for me to say that I'm making progress, I have to be more confident. I have to have grown my network. I have to have grown my social media following. Growing your social media following, you could say whether you did or didn't do it. That's not a good example. But I need to be in better shape. These are the things that you need to be able to say what that looks like. What does it mean if I say I need to be more confident? How will I know at the end of the year that I am more confident? What would be true? For me, that would say that I have increased my confidence, right? So again, not about vague goals, not about, you need to be able to look at it and say either I did it or I didn't do it. Can't move the goalpost on yourself. All right? Okay. So that's that. So now let's just say, for example, we take our first quarter. Now you don't need to go by calendar quarters, just break them out into 12-week sprints. Okay? So in our first 12-week sprint, my focus, I've outlined a focus for myself now. So my focus is going to be on publishing the book. My focus is going to be on posting more to social media. My focus is going to be on putting together a pitch sheet for speaking gigs or getting a PR agency on board. Now we can start to say, for the next layer down, for the next 12 weeks, what are the actions that I need to take over the next 12 weeks that are going to drive these outcomes, right? Drive the outcomes from this layer up here. So again, these are things, actions that are within your control. And I want to be very clear on this. Your outcomes are not in your control, okay? Your outcomes have a lot of variables attached to them, which means that you can do all the work that you can do, and you are no way, shape, or form guaranteed to get the outcomes that you want, because it depends on a lot of different variables that are out of your control. So the goal here is not to measure your success based on whether or not you achieved your outcome, but did you drive the behaviors? Did you drive the actions? Did you complete the actions that are going to help narrow the gap towards getting your outcomes? And that's a very important thing for you to remember. Because if you are tying your accomplishments strictly to your outcomes, which are not in your control, you are going to become deflated very quickly, and you are going to stop driving actions. So what we're considering here now when we're thinking about this plan, this layer here needs to be about measuring yourself based on action versus outcome. So this layer here, what are the monthly actions that I will take? What does accomplished look like for the month that is going to help me to better enable me to hit the goals and the objectives that I want to hit? Not guaranteed, you don't have control over that, but are going to help to ensure that I'm narrowing that gap to getting the things that I want. So again, this is action related. Now, what I would often do is I would take a sticky note, one sticky note per action, and I would put it up on my mirror every single day. And on those, so I would be able, so on my mirror or on my board, I have got my big hairy vision, so I constantly know what I'm aiming towards. I've got my annual focus so that I know based on the sprint that I'm in, what my focuses are, what my objectives are. And then I've got a whole slew of like 12 or 16 sticky notes that directly lead me, that are action oriented. And what I would do at the end of every month is I would go and I would look at it and I would start taking off stickies. So I would, at the end of the month, take stickies off of the mirror because I had accomplished them. And then I would actually go and add new stickies that would move me into the next phase. Now, the cool thing about that is that at the end of the month, you get to feel accomplished and you have tangible receipts, literal receipts that say that you are accomplished, because at the end of the month, you're going to have a stack of stickies. And that stack is going to grow and grow and grow to the point where at the end of the year, you are going to have literal receipts of how you acted, of how you moved the needle towards your goals. And you're going to be able to say, I've accomplished things this year. My outcomes may not look exactly the way that I hoped, whether that is a decision that has been made external to me or whether it's a decision that I made. But this stack of green or pink stickies here, these are receipts that prove that I can do hard things, that prove that I can stretch myself, that prove that I'm able to be accomplished. All right. Now, the black stickies. And these might not be black, but I'm putting them black here. This is very important too, because these are your mindset stickies. Because in those moments, as you are doing hard things, your brain is going to constantly send you signals that tell you to hold back. Your brain is going to reintroduce old narratives to you that have historically kept you safe and small. You're not good enough for this. No one's going to come for this. People aren't going to buy this. Nobody cares about this. It's very important that you anticipate that those thoughts are going to come forward and you build yourself reminders to yourself, words that you need to remember as you move through, as like almost like this is like your affirmation. It's like your affirmation paired with action. It's not just about I am beautiful, but you're pairing it with actions or demonstrating the act of being whatever the affirmation is. So yesterday we did a whole exercise on values, on understanding what values are driving your goals. These are the values that you might want to put on these stickies to remind you of what really matters to you. In a world where you are constantly prioritizing profit because you have a security-based value or whatever the case is, you may want to remember that you started this plan with the value of giving purpose. You started this plan with a value of unity. You started this plan with a value of status, whatever it is. This is where you may want to remind yourself of your values and of the beliefs that you want to continue to practice. So, for example, sticky notes that I've had on my plan before are, it's scary, but fuck it, do it anyways. Measure habits, not outcomes, as again, something that I'm rewiring my brain to do. Other ones that I've had are 10x only, hold the line. These are words or phrases that I use to catch myself in moments when I'm actioning this plan and feel like I'm slipping back to comfort. Okay? All right. As I mentioned before, this is a lot of information and my notes are kind of gross, but what I want you to do is enter the word sticky in this chat here, and you will get the full breakdown so that you can actually go and execute this on your own mirror, your own whiteboard. Doesn't matter where, but make sure that it is visible to you. Do not put it in a planner. Do not put it on ChatGPT and have it filed away somewhere. You need to make sure that it is visible. So comment sticky here so that you can be able to do that. All right. Awesome. That is your lesson for today. So, as I mentioned to you, when we talk about this Be in the Room series, and so much of what I'm talking about in this series is going to be available in the book that I am releasing called Be in the Room: How to Stop Shrinking and How to Start Leading with Purpose. That book is currently available on Amazon for pre-order. If you comment the word book, you'll get a link to pre-order, or it will be released on January 20th. So we're going to be here for that release together too, and that's going to be really exciting. Tomorrow we're going into day 8 of this 20-day journey, and tomorrow we're going to tackle the biggest resistor to doing any of these things, right? Because it's really all well and good to have a concrete plan, to time out, to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm focused on, this is where I'm going. But what is the biggest thing that is going to get in your way? Time. You're going to feel like you don't have the time to do these things. And as you move deeper and deeper into and allow life to keep lifing, that time is going to slip away from you. One of the biggest things, the things that most people will come to me for when they come to me for coaching is better time management, because people believe that time is their biggest barrier to accomplishing their goals. And as far as I know, Beyonce hasn't figured out how to buy extra 25 hours in the day, so you can't either. We got to work with what we've got. So tomorrow I'm going to give you the tools on how to make time decisions like a fucking CEO if you're going to start acting like this. All right? Okay, that is it. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Again, don't forget, comment the word sticky if you want the guide. Comment the word book if you want the book. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to be talking all about effective time management and making CEO decisions when it comes to your energy and your focus. Have a good day. Bye, Leslie. Bye, Trishan.